Hello,
Hello,
Professor.
Professor.
Please,
Please,
do you
do you
think that
think
in the
the
coming
coming
years,
years
the United States will adopt a federal law, data protection federal law? Thank you.
So, if I understand it correctly, you're asking, do you think that the US will have a federal data protection law? That's where I think the political economy of this kind of federal privacy legislation has to be understood. So, who are the stakeholders who are affected, and what is their bargaining power? That is what is going to ultimately determine whether we have a federal privacy law or not. The problem is the people who benefit from not having a federal privacy law are large companies with a lot of resources, and they are very concentrated and they coordinate very well. On the other side, you have ordinary consumers who are uncoordinated, who in our individual loss may not be so high. Each of our losses are not that high. So we are an uncoordinated bunch. So you can see the political economy of this situation is that some stakeholders are very powerful and well coordinated, and the benefits are accrued by these small number of entities, and the costs are borne by millions and millions of Americans, each of whom is individually not affected that much. So what we really need is more coordination amongst consumers and citizens. So as long as there is more coordination amongst average Americans, then I think there will be a federal law. And the fact that the GDPR has been passed, and really it's fairly successful. Now, of course, people are criticizing the GDPR also and saying there's not enough fines, that there's not enough violations and prosecutions. There's been one prosecution against a Canadian company, and then there was this French case against Google I mentioned. So there's not been that many. So there's people who also argue the GDPR is also not that strong. But nevertheless, the fact that the GDPR exists and the fact that companies are able to have something like a equivalent of a federal law, because the GDPR is EU-wide, and the EU is basically as big as the US. So the fact that that exists, I think, provides more support that maybe there will be a federal law in the future. And I think the more average citizens, the more they are upset, the more we're likely to see a new law. Certainly these things are more likely, generally speaking, if there is a democratic administration. So you're right to point out the importance of the election and so on, and how that will affect privacy law.